Why would a Viking care about right and wrong when his own life is a dead end? Their mindset was simple. If I suffer, everyone suffers. And it led them to do unspeakable things. Remember, an eye for an eye leads the world blind. Let's recap history quickly in 60 seconds so everyone can catch up. In June 8th, 793, they struck a monastery, but a funny thing happens when ruthless men have success. The outcasts of society, who started by raiding small villages, realized they could take over the world. By 911, a warlord named Rollo forced the king of France to hand over Normandy. This was huge for the Vikings, now finally expanding into Europe and not only being Scandinavian. In year 1000, they were unstoppable. They sailed down rivers and traded in Constantinople and crossed the Atlantic, charged North America. Around 500 years before Columbus, they reached their absolute peak under Knut the Great. They united Denmark, England, and Norway in a single massive superpower. The era didn't slowly fade, it crashed down in a single day. On September 25th, 1066, the last great Viking, Harald, marched into England looking to claim the throne. Instead, he took an arrow to the throat, and that marked the end of the last Viking. Let's take a breath now that you're caught up on Viking history. Let's meet Thor, the son of Finn. Thor has spent years working on his father's farm, building the kind of muscle we modern geeks will never see. While we sat back and scroll away on our phones, Thor was carrying heavy wheat and eating bread every single day. By the time he was a teenager, he had a battle-readied body before he even knew what war actually was. Life was rough, his parents kept piling on chores, and he wasn't getting paid a single dime. What is the point of all of this, he asked himself. Fire. Suddenly, his father's house is engulfed in flames. Terrified, Thor runs into the woods. Where do you even go when your world is burning? When he creeps back in the next morning, the village is gone. Everyone he knew was consumed by the smoke. There's nothing left. No father, no mother, just ash. He's standing there, completely lost. Was it an accident? A rival tribe? A targeted attack? Back in the Viking Age, you didn't have the luxury of communication. There were no answers. Thor just had to deal with the brutal cards he's been dealt with. Thor picks up where he left off 2 days ago. He starts digging in the dirt, desperate to plant his crops before the winter comes. He's digging and he keeps digging with everything he has left, but the sheer weight of the labor is crushing him. He's actually alone, exhausted and broken. Thor finally breaks down and cries, but even though he's crying, he keeps digging. As time passes, Thor realizes he can't survive in a graveyard. He packs up his bags, or what is left of them. What is left of his father's land he sells, trades it for whatever silver and gold he can get, and he heads towards the nearest trading hub. A place crowded with people, but Thor is completely isolated. He has no idea how to navigate this new world, or how to even communicate with these people. Everyone around him is speaking completely foreign tongue, except for one group of men. They are called mercenaries, he thinks, outcasts and raiders, and they invite him onto their longship, and he decided to accept. Thor looks at their weapons. Their swords are heavy, polished and gleaming in the light. His father had a blade once, but it was absolute garbage compared to these. Who were these men? How were they this rich? Thor didn't know yet, but he was about to find out. Thor became a Viking warrior that day, led by the ruthless warlord they called Ashtrang. But Thor didn't fight. He watched in silence, unable to understand how these men moved so fast, with absolutely zero concern for the lives they destroyed. Even though he was offered a weapon, Thor never picked up a sword. Instead, he became the crew's pack mule. The other raiders mocked him, wondering if this giant of a man even knew how to defend himself. Until one day, a veteran raider named Bjorn tried to help him with the gear. Bjorn was a big guy. Bjorn was built like a bear, but he was visibly buckling and struggling under just half of the weight Thor has been carrying daily. Bjorn didn't say a word, but from that moment on, the crew realized exactly what kind of monster they were dealing with. But Thor's strength couldn't save him from his fate. On a raid gone wrong, Astrang's band sailed onto the wrong shore. The warriors were entirely wiped out. Thor, however, was spared. Seeing his massive build, the English forces claimed him as their own, and he was sold to the wealthy. The Englishmen couldn't understand a word he said, but they knew the value when they saw it. For years, Thor was forced to do the heavy labor of 5 men every single day. Then, in a single instant, his body gave out. His knee snapped. Surrounded by masters who spoke a foreign tongue, Thor couldn't explain his agony. Nobody understood what was wrong. With no other choice, he kept working through the binding pain, dragging his broken leg day after day, until the morning he slipped and fell into a morning where he slipped and fell into a well when he was trying to gather water. Trapped at the bottom of the well, his arms exhausted and his broken knee failing him. Trapped at the bottom of the well, his arms exhausted and his broken knee failing him, Thor couldn't swim anymore. And in the silence of the cold water of a country that never knew his name, Thor met his end. Being a Viking was never heroic. It was just a brutal era that started in desperation and ended in bloodshed. Sure, a few ruthless people, the warlords, they found glory and wealth, but the vast majority of people, just like Thor, only found struggle and suffering, or worse. Trust me here, the Viking Age is not a time period you actually want to visit. So, what truly killed this era? It wasn't just arrows to a throat, like the last Viking. It was a shift in the human mind. A shift in our whole evolution, actually. The arrival of Christianity fundamentally reshaped Scandinavia. It traded a brutal suffer and make everyone else suffer code of the old gods for a completely new moral framework that nobody was used to. Over time, it transformed raiders into people and lawlessness into kingdoms. No matter what you believe in today, the arrival of new faith is what ultimately tamed the Scandinavian world, closing a book of the centuries of terror. And this is what truly killed the era of Vikings. Well, thank you for watching and catch you on the next one. Peace.